I stood on the rain-soaked steps of the brownstone on West 78th Street, the one I'd painted pale blue 40 years ago, with trembling hands and a heart full of hope, my only suitcase at my feet, the zipper half broken, the handle worn smooth by decades of carrying dreams and disappointments, and there, in the doorway, was my son, my Michael, my little boy with the golden curls who once clung to my skirt when thunder cracked the sky, now 38, broad-shouldered, cold-eyed, his mouth twisted into a sneer I didn't recognize, and he said, voice sharp as the November wind cutting through my thin cardigan, "You're done here, Mum. Pack your rubbish and go. I'm selling the house. You're a burden. Always have been," and he slammed the door so hard the stained glass window rattled, the one I'd saved for 3 years to install, the one with the little bluebird in the corner that used to make him laugh when he was 5, and now I was outside, in the drizzle, in the dark, in the silence that followed the click of the lock, and I sank to my knees on the wet stone, the suitcase tipping over, spilling out a lifetime, my wedding photo with Thomas, faded and creased, the tiny knitted booties I'd made the day Michael was born, the letter he wrote me at 10, "I'll never leave you, Mummy, I promise," all of it soaked now, ruined, like me, and I wept, not the polite weeping of an English lady who apologues for her tears, but the raw, guttural sobbing of a mother whose child has just cut out her heart and thrown it into the gutter with the cigarette butts and the fallen leaves, and I whispered to the empty street, "What did I do wrong? Where did I fail you?" Because I had given him everything, every penny, every sleepless night, every skipped meal, every prayer whispered in the dark when the bills piled up and the cancer took Thomas and left me alone with a 5-year-old boy who needed a father and got only me, a seamstress with bleeding fingers and a back that ached from 14-hour shifts in a factory that smelled of dye and despair, and I had smiled through it all, told him stories of Yorkshire moors and tea with scones, taught him to read with my own childhood books, sang him to sleep with lullabies my mother sang to me, and now this eviction, this exile, this betrayal so complete it felt like dying while still breathing, and I pressed my face into my hands, the rain mixing with my tears, and I thought, this is how it ends. Not with love. Not with gratitude. But with a slammed door and a son who hates the sound of his mother's voice. I don't know how long I sat there, on that stoop, in the cold, my coat growing heavy with water, my arthritis flaring in my knees like fire, my heart a hollow drum echoing with every cruel word he'd spat. "You're embarrassing me in front of Vanessa's parents, you're always crying about Dad, you don't belong in this life anymore." Vanessa, his wife, the one with the diamond earrings and the laugh like breaking glass, the one who rolled her eyes when I offered to cook Sunday roast, who said, "We don't eat carbs," Charlotte, who whispered in his ear that I was holding him back, and he listened, my Michael, my boy who once cried when I burned my hand on the stove, who now looked at me like I was a stranger, a nuisance, a relic from a life he'd outgrown. I remembered the day he graduated from Columbia, how I'd stood in the back in my only good dress, the one I'd sewn myself, clapping until my palms bled, and he'd hugged me so tight, whispered, "This is for you, Mum," and I believed him. I believed in him. I believed love was enough. But love, it seems, has an expiration date when money and status move in. And now here I was, 68 years old, no savings, no family, no home, just a suitcase and a broken heart, and the city, New York, this glittering, heartless beast, didn't care. The taxis splashed past. The doorman looked away. A dog walker stepped over my spilled photographs without a glance. And I thought, this is what abandonment feels like. This is what it means to be erased. But then, from the corner of my eye, I saw headlights, slow, deliberate, not the frantic yellow cabs but something sleek, black, expensive. A limousine. It glided to the curb like a swan on a dark lake, and the door opened, and out stepped a man, tall, silver-haired, dressed in a charcoal coat that cost more than I'd earned in a year, and his face, oh God, his face, it was Alexander. Alexander Harrington. My Alexander. The boy from Queens who used to walk me home from the library when we were 16, who carved our initials into the oak tree by Flushing Meadows, who promised me the world before life tore us apart. The man who'd become a billionaire, who built hospitals in Africa, who funded homes for widows and orphans, who I'd seen on the cover of Forbes and thought, that could have been my life. And now he was here, kneeling in the rain beside me, his umbrella forgotten, his eyes, those same kind, stormy gray eyes, filled with tears as he said, "Charlotte? My Charlotte? Is it really you?" And I couldn't speak. I just stared, my mouth open, my hands shaking, because how could this be real? How could the universe, after breaking me so completely, send him? He didn't wait for an answer. He simply wrapped his arms around me, pulled me to his chest, and I felt his heartbeat, strong, steady, alive, and I sobbed into his coat, ruining the cashmere, not caring, because for the first time in years, I wasn't alone. "I've been looking for you," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "Ever since that gala. Ever since I saw you standing there, serving tea in that ridiculous apron, smiling like you hadn't a care in the world. I knew. I knew it was you. And I knew you were suffering." I tried to pull away, ashamed of my wet hair, my swollen eyes, my broken suitcase, but he held me tighter. "No," he said. "No more hiding. You're coming with me. Now." And that's when I looked back, through the rain-streaked window of the limo, through my tears, and I saw Michael. He'd come out onto the stoop, arms crossed, that smug, triumphant smile still on his face, the one he'd worn when he locked me out. But then he saw Alexander. Saw the limo. Saw the way Alexander held me like I was precious, like I was treasure. And the smile, it vanished. Just like that. His face went white. His mouth fell open. His hands dropped to his sides. And I saw it, clear as day, regret. Shock. Fear. Maybe even love, buried deep beneath the greed and the pride. But it was too late. The door closed. The limo pulled away. And I was gone. But let me take you back. Let me tell you the whole story. From the beginning. From the moors of Yorkshire to the brownstone steps. From the girl I was to the woman I became. From the love I gave to the love I lost, and found again. Because this isn't just a story about betrayal. It's a story about grace. About redemption. About what happens when a mother's heart, though broken 1,000 times, refuses to harden. And about what happens when a son realizes, too late, that the woman he threw away was the only one who ever truly saw him. I was born in 1957 in a tiny village called Haworth, the same one where the Bronte sisters wrote their wild, tragic tales. My mother was a schoolteacher, my father a coal miner with hands like sandpaper and a laugh that filled the house. We didn't have much, but we had love. And stories. Oh, the stories. My mother would read to me by the fire, Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights, poems by Wordsworth, and I'd fall asleep dreaming of moors and mad women and men who loved fiercely, even when it destroyed them. I wanted that. I wanted passion. I wanted purpose. And when I was 17, I met Thomas. He was 20, a soldier on leave, with dark hair and eyes like midnight and a smile that made my knees weak. He was stationed near Leeds, and one night, at a village dance, he asked me to dance. I was wearing a green dress my mother had sewn, and he spun me under the fairy lights until I was dizzy with joy. We fell in love that summer. Madly. Desperately. He wrote me letters from Germany, from Cyprus, from places I'd only read about in books. And when he came home for good, he proposed on the moors, under a sky full of stars, with a ring he'd saved 6 months' pay to buy. I said yes. Of course I said yes. We married in 1976. I was 19. He was 22. We moved to London, into a tiny flat above a bakery that smelled of warm bread every morning. Thomas worked construction. I took in sewing. We were poor, but we were happy. And then, in 1978, I got pregnant. Michael. Our miracle. I carried him through a freezing winter, my belly round under threadbare coats, and when he was born, March 14, 1979, at 3:17 a.m., I held him and knew I would die for him. I would live for him. I would do anything. But life, as the Brontes knew, is cruel. In 1984, when Michael was 5, Thomas was killed on a site in Manhattan. He'd taken a job in America to earn more money, to give us a better life. A beam fell. Just like that. One moment he was laughing with his crew, the next he was gone. I got the call at 2 a.m. London time. I screamed so loud the neighbors banged on the walls. Michael, confused and terrified, crawled into my lap and whispered, "Where's Daddy?" And I had no answer. Just tears. Just grief. Just a 5-year-old boy who needed his father and a widow who needed to survive. I sold everything. The flat. The furniture. Thomas's tools. I took the insurance money, barely enough for a one-way ticket, and I boarded a plane to New York with Michael clutching my hand, his teddy bear tucked under his arm. I had no plan. No family. Just a promise I'd made to Thomas as he left, "We'll make it, love. We'll build a home." And so I did. We landed in JFK in October 1984. The city was chaos, honking taxis, shouting vendors, skyscrapers that blocked the sun. I found a one-bedroom in Brooklyn, in a building that smelled of cabbage and despair. I got a job in the garment district, sewing linings into coats for $3 an hour. Michael started kindergarten. I learned to navigate the subway with a stroller and a broken heart. I learned to smile when I wanted to scream. I learned to tell Michael, "Daddy's watching from heaven," when he asked why other kids had fathers at the school play. The years blurred. Michael grew tall and clever. He won spelling bees. He played soccer in Prospect Park. I worked double shifts, came home with bleeding fingers, cooked spaghetti with ketchup when we couldn't afford sauce. I never dated. Never complained. Never let him see me cry, except once, when he was 8, and I thought he was asleep. He came into the kitchen, wrapped his arms around my waist, and said, "Don't cry, Mummy. I'll take care of you one day." And I believed him. High school. Columbia. Scholarships. I sewed prom dresses for rich girls to pay for his SAT prep. I skipped meals so he could have new sneakers. I cheered at graduation, stood in the back, cried into my handkerchief. He got a job on Wall Street. Moved to Manhattan. Met Vanessa at a rooftop bar in Soho. She was beautiful. Ambitious. Cold. She didn't like me. Said I smelled like mothballs. Said my accent was quaint. Michael laughed it off at first. Then he stopped laughing. The fights began. "You're too clingy, Mum. You don't understand our life. Vanessa says you're passive-aggressive." I tried to bridge the gap. I cooked roast dinners. I babysat their dog. I offered to help with the wedding. But Vanessa wanted a venue in the Hamptons. Wanted a designer gown. Wanted me out of the photos. And Michael, he changed. The boy who once picked dandelions for me now rolled his eyes when I called. The man who promised to care for me now said, "You're holding me back." The brownstone was my last tether. Thomas and I had bought it in 1992 with every penny we had. I raised Michael there. Painted his room blue. Planted roses in the tiny backyard. After he moved out, I stayed. Kept it clean. Kept it warm. Kept it waiting. He visited less and less. Then came the ultimatum, "Sell it, Mum. We need the money. Vanessa wants a house in Connecticut." I refused. "This is Dad's legacy," I said. "This is our home." He called me selfish. Ungrateful. Old. And then, that night. The eviction. The slammed door. The rain. But Alexander, how do I even begin to explain Alexander? We met in 1975. I was 16, working weekends at the library. He was 17, a scholarship kid from a rough neighborhood, always reading philosophy books he didn't understand yet. He had a crooked smile and a leather jacket 2 sizes too big. He asked me to explain Pride and Prejudice. I did. We fell in love over tea and dog-eared paperbacks. He walked me home every night. We kissed under the oak tree. We dreamed of running away together. But then Thomas came home from the army, and Alexander's father died, and life pulled us apart. He went to America on a scholarship. I stayed. We lost touch. I married Thomas. He built an empire. I built a family. And fate, it seems, waited. I saw him again in 2024, at a charity gala for elderly housing. I was volunteering, serving tea, wearing an apron that said Yorkshire's Finest. He was the keynote speaker. I recognized him instantly. He didn't recognize me until I dropped a teacup. The clatter. The spill. The apology in my Yorkshire lilt. He froze. Stared. Then whispered, "Charlotte?" I nodded, tears in my eyes. He hugged me in front of everyone. Didn't care who saw. We talked all night. He told me about his wife, who died of cancer in 2010. His daughter, who lived in London. His foundation. His loneliness. I told him about Thomas. Michael. The brownstone. He listened. Really listened. Said, "You deserve better." I laughed. "I'm just an old seamstress." He said, "You're the girl who taught me what love is." We stayed in touch. Coffee in Greenwich Village. Walks in Central Park. Emails about books and memories and the oak tree that was cut down for a parking lot. He offered help. I refused. "I don't want charity," I said. He said, "It's not charity. It's love." I didn't believe him. Not yet. But that night, on the stoop, when he found me, how did he even know? I'd texted him earlier, in despair, "Michael's throwing me out. I don't know what to do." He must have tracked the address. Dropped everything. Came. And now, in the limo, wrapped in a cashmere blanket, sipping tea from a thermos he'd brought, Yorkshire Gold, just how you like it, I told him everything. The years of sacrifice. The slow erosion of love. The slammed door. He didn't interrupt. Just held my hand. When I finished, he said, "You're not going to a shelter. You're not going anywhere but home, with me." His penthouse was on the 58th floor, overlooking Central Park. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A library with a fireplace. A kitchen bigger than my old apartment. He gave me a room with a view of the skyline, a bed with sheets that smelled of lavender, a closet already filled with clothes in my size, simple, elegant, with tags still on. I had them made, he said. I hoped. I cried again. Not from pain this time. From wonder. Days turned to weeks. He took me to museums. To the theater. To Yorkshire tea rooms in Brooklyn where the owners knew my accent and hugged me like family. He introduced me to his daughter, Eliza, who called me Auntie Charlotte and showed me photos of her children. He cooked for me, roast beef, Yorkshire puddings, apple crumble. He listened to my stories. Laughed at my jokes. Held me when I woke from nightmares of slammed doors. And Michael? He called. Once. Left a voicemail. "Mum, I saw the limo." I looked him up. "Alexander Harrington? Are you with him? Call me back." I didn't. Not yet. I was healing. Learning to breathe again. Learning that love doesn't have to hurt. One night, Alexander took me to the oak tree site, now a parking garage. He'd bought the lot. Was turning it into a garden. "For you," he said. "For us. For second chances." He got down on one knee, right there between the construction cones, and proposed with the same ring Thomas had given me. He'd had it cleaned, repaired, engraved inside, "Charlotte and Alexander, 1975 forever." I said yes. Of course I said yes. We married in spring, in the garden, under a new oak sapling. Eliza walked me down the aisle. Michael wasn't invited. Not yet. But then, one day, he showed up. At the penthouse. Unannounced. Vanessa had left him. Taken the dog. Cleaned out the accounts. He stood in the foyer, thinner, eyes red, holding a box of my old things, the booties, the letter, the wedding photo, now laminated. I found these in the trash, he said. After you left. I couldn't throw them away. His voice broke. I'm sorry, Mum. I was wrong. I was cruel. I let her change me. I forgot who I was. Who you are. I looked at him, my boy, my betrayer, my heart, and I saw the 5-year-old who needed me. The 8-year-old who promised to care for me. The man who'd lost his way. And I opened my arms. He fell into them, sobbing like he hadn't since he was a child. I love you, he whispered. I never stopped. I got lost. Alexander stood back, gave a space. Later, he shook Michael's hand. Family sticks, he said. Even when it breaks. Michael moved into the guest house. Started working for Alexander's foundation. Learned to build homes instead of tear them down. Learned to say I'm sorry and mean it. Learned to cook roast dinners and laugh at my stories. Vanessa never came back. Good riddance. And me? I travel now. With Alexander. To Yorkshire, where we visit my parents' graves. To Africa, where we open a sewing school for widows. To London, where Eliza's children call me Granny. I wear dresses I didn't sew myself. I drink tea in china cups. I sleep without fear. But I never forget the stoop. The rain. The slammed door. The moment I thought love had died. Because it didn't. It just changed form. It came back, older, wiser, scarred, but stronger. And it taught me this: a mother's love is a river. It can be dammed, diverted, polluted, but it always finds the sea. And sometimes, the sea sends a ship. Sometimes, it sends a man with kind eyes and a limo and a promise kept after 50 years. And to Michael, my son, my heart, I say this: you broke me. But you didn't destroy me. You taught me that forgiveness is not weakness. It's the strongest thing a soul can do. And I forgive you. Not because you deserve it. But because I deserve peace. And to every mother watching, every widow, every woman who's been told she's too much or not enough, know this: your worth is not in what others give you. It's in what you give. In the love you carry. In the light you refuse to let die, even when the world goes dark. I was kicked out. I was broken. But I was found. And in being found, I found myself. This is my story. From the moors to Manhattan. From a girl with a green dress to a woman with a garden and a second chance. From a slammed door to an open heart. And if you take nothing else from it, take this: love wins. Not always when we expect it. Not always how we imagine it. But it wins. It always does. Please like and subscribe my channel.